Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library. And I wanted to do some earrings today. I'm going to do something that's fairly short and sweet because I got a comment from someone that said a couple of tutorials ago that said, I really enjoyed this shorter tutorial. Hint, hint. Okay, so they didn't put the hint, hint in, but I got it. So I wanted to do something that was really short. I hope is going to be fairly short and sweet, and going to give you something that you can make with any kinds of beads that will, because we're using leather and the beads are going over the leather for the most part, so that you can use any kind of beads that will go over the leather cord that you use, and you can dress up or down or make to match any outfit that you have, whether it's a pair of jeans and a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or something dressy that you can wear. Something sparkly. I'm going to show you this one because I love it. Something sparkly with. Very simple, but very, very neat. So I'm going to show you how to make a couple pairs of earrings here, and we'll just move on with something that I think that'll work with for most people, who have pierced ears. And if you don't have pierced ears, you do know that you can get clip wires that you can use with these designs. So what you're going to need is your usual tools. You're going to need round nose pliers. Explain. The barrel is round all the way around. It starts larger at the bottom near the hilt and tapers up to almost a tip at the end or at the top. Then you have your square nose pliers that are slightly rounded on the outside but flat on the inside. You want to make sure that if you're buying this in the store or if you're ordering it, that it doesn't have those ridges on the inside or those grips. It needs to be nice and smooth so that it won't harm your wire. The third thing that you want is a pair of wire cutters. So that's what I'm using. And as far as the components, I'm using leather cord. You can decide how thick you want the leather cord to be, but make sure that your beads will fit over the cord for the designs that I'm using that require that the beads be strung through the cord. So a selection of beads, wire cord, 20 gauge wire, chain, because we're going to do a little dangle, and ear wires and jump rings. That is everything that we need today for our earrings. So let's go ahead and get down here to the mat and get started. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is cut 4 inches of cord, and mine is 1.5 millimeter cord, and I'm just going to make a little teardrop earring. So I'm going to add beads to mine, and I'm going to add a little dangle to it as well. So what I'm going to do is put beads directly on the cord, and then I'm going to put some dangles in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the dangle. The first thing I need to do is just take a very short piece of wire, because I'm going to make just a simple loop that's going to go on a jump ring to use as a dangle. So I only need, my beads are about less than 1/8 of an inch. So I need whatever the measurement is of my beads is, plus 1/2 inch on each side. Actually, 1/4 of an inch on one side and 1/2 inch on the other side, meaning I only need about 1 inch of wire. But that's mine. It depends on how big the beads that you use for your dangles are. I only need about 1 inch. So I'm going to cut that. And I'm going to, the other thing that you could do is just use a a head pin for your dangles, but I'm going to make my own head pin. So I'm going to went ahead and cut about an inch. I just eyeballed it, about an inch of wire. And I'm going to put a teeny tiny little half loop in my wire. It's right here on the tip. You're going to have to be patient because it's going to fight you. Get around there. There we go. So I'm going to just give myself a half of a loop, kind of a horseshoe shape, or 3/4 of a loop, I guess I should say. So there's that. And then I'm going to take my square pliers and I'm going to squeeze these two sides together. Just like that. So now I have a little head pin. I bend it back a little bit so that when I put it on my bead, it sits right in the center. There we go. Squish that down a little tiny bit more. There. So now I just need to make a simple loop. So what I'm going to do is straighten it out a little bit. If you ever end up with wire that's a little crinkled, you can just use your pliers to straighten it out a bit. I'm going to bend my wire at right angle. Now I'm going to cut this down to 1/2 inch because that's all I need in order to create my loop. Cut that off. Notice how I held on to the tail so that it wouldn't go flying anywhere. Then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and slide my wire down about 1/8 of an inch from the tip. I don't need a huge loop. Make sure that the tip is not sticking out the back here. And then I'm going to rotate my plier hand to start my loop, open up my pliers without moving the wire, reposition them back, and turn again, and just keep doing that until I have a loop. Now, I have a little neck here, which is what I call this space right down here before I get to the bead. I'd rather have my loop closer to the bead. So I'm going to cut some of that wire off. It's going to go right in here and cut about 1/2 of it off. You want to make sure you don't cut too much because if you do, you have to start over. But if you don't cut enough, you can just keep cutting until you get where you want it to go. Go back to that 1/8 of an inch point and reclose. Here we go. So there's my little dangle that I'm going to be using. I'm going to straighten out this loop because it's listing off to the side. There we go. So there's my little dangle, and I've done 2 others. And I'm going to use, and now let's go ahead and get our beads on our cord. So I'm going to go ahead and it depends on what order you want to put these in. I'm going to put this kind of bluish gray one on, and this is very tight. So I have to get it right in the center of my bead again. Can't say it enough. Make sure your beads are going to fit over onto the cord. Okay, just twist that a little bit until it goes on. Then I'm going to add my little dangles. Put them on in any order that you want. Got 3 dangles here. slide the opening where the loop is onto my cord. Okay, the last one. Slide that on. Here we go. And add my other two beads. Now you can use any beads that you want. These beads come from Guatemala. Excuse me. No, these beads come from Ecuador. So we're using these Ecuadorian beads to make our little teardrop. So this is what it's going to look like. Just a little dangly earring. Now I'm going to make the part that's going to hold it together. So for that, I need 5 inches of wire, and I'm going to make a coil like this. And that's going to hold my wire together. I mean, my cord together. So what I want to do is go down here to the very tip of my wire. And I like to put a tiny little bend in it. So I just have something to hold on to when it's time to make my coil. So I'm going to slide my wire down. What you need to do is determine how much space you need for your coil to fit over your cord without it being too big. So I know how much mine is. It's gonna be a trial and error thing. I can't tell you the exact amount, but I'm gonna slide it down to almost halfway down my pliers. And here's how you can test it out. Make a loop. So I'm just rotating until I have a loop here. There we go. Then I'm going to try it, test it out on my cord to see if it fits. It fits. It's a little looser than I want, but that's better than being not small enough. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to open that loop up and slide it a little further down on my pliers, a little closer to the tip. And I'm going to close that up a little bit. So it's a little smaller. Let's check it out again. See what we've got. Okay, get a little more light here. Okay, here we go. Try that on. There. It's a little more snug, which is what I want. I don't want it to be too wide a circle. So just give yourself some time to try it out and make sure that it's going to be not too big for your cord, but definitely not too small for your cord. So now I know what size I need. I'm going to continue to coil my wire. So I have one loop. The next loop is going to go behind the first loop, but you want to make sure that you're looping in the same place for each of your wraps. You don't want to start going down the base of your pliers, or your loops are going to be getting progressively bigger. You want to stay in the same spot, and that means you're going to have to pay attention to what you're doing and keep an eye on it. Now, I've seen people mark their pliers so that they just take a little Sharpie, and then they can see exactly where the wire should sit as they're winding. I think I've seen people put a little piece of tape on, just something to mark the pliers so that you don't have to pay as close attention as you would if you didn't have anything on there. Okay. Or as you would if you did have something on there. So I'm just wrapping this nice and slowly. See my nice little coil that I have going there? Just keep wrapping until you get it the length that you want. It does not have to be very long. You can make a really long one, you can make a short one, you can stop after 4 or 5 coils, and that's long enough. I want mine to match the one I already did. So I'm keeping an eye on what I do. A few more turns and I should be finished. And it only took about 5 inches, or mine's only taking about 5 inches. If you want it longer, you'll need more wire. If you want it shorter, you'll need less wire, obviously. So just decide how you want yours to look. And that will determine how much wire you use. Okay, that's good. A couple more coils. Let's see here. Looking good. Yeah, there we go. I think I need just a couple more little turns. And we'll be ready to go. All right. So there's my coil. You go ahead and I'll take my little flat pliers and make it nice and neat as I can. I'm going to cut this little tail off. See, I didn't have much left, so that's good. 5 inches was what it took for mine. I like to lift it away from the other coils before I cut so that I don't accidentally cut something that I didn't intend to. Okay, I'm going to hold on to this little tail, cut that off, get rid of that little tip that I don't need, and push those wires back down. Push that little end back down with the other wires. Nice and neat. Okay, so there's my little coils. Leave it a little bit to the side. Let's make that a little neater. There. Okay, so now this is going to hold my leather pieces together. So I'm going to put the tips of my leather together, and I'm just going to slide my little coil on. Perfect, nice and snug. You slide it on until the little tips are right there at the top. Yes. Here we go. Let me check it out with the other one to make sure it's good. Yes. Nice. Okay. And now, in order to hold this on, to make sure that it stays in place, I'm going to squeeze the bottom one. Just to crimp it against the cord and hold everything in place. Nice and strong. Give it a nice crimp. There we go. Pull on it. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Neaten it up if you need to in the back here. Oh, it came out. Darn it. Darn. Okay. I have to do it again. Oh, don't you just love it? Let's see if I can salvage that by just sliding that back in there after I put the beads back on. Yeah, maybe. Let's try it. Okay, let's get those beads back on. We have this nice little red one, the bluish gray one. My little dangles. Let's start to put them off. These beautiful teal. This nice little topazy one. And then my gray again. And my red. And let's see if I can slide that back up in there. It's going to be a challenge because it's very tight. Now I'm going to have to open it up in order to get it back in. And it's all right. It happens. I'd have to take out the second one and put them both back in at the same time. Yeah, let's see. Let's see if we can do this. Come on. Go on up in there. Come on, go in there. Go in, go in, go in, go in. There we go. There they both are. Right there at the top. And let's just recrimp. There we go. Okay, are we good? Are we good? I still see them at the top there, so they should be good. Come on, come on, come on. Good. Very nice. So now what we're going to do is go up here to the top on the opposite side where the tip is. Here's my little tip. I like to push that in just a little bit towards the center. And then I'm going to take my fingernail, or if you don't want to ruin your fingernails, you can use something to slide in there in between the last ring and the one next to it, right across from the tip. Here's the tip. Go to the other side, put your fingernail in there, or if you're very careful, you can use your cutters and slide them in there, or just some kind of thin, flat object that you can put in there and lift that top ring away from the rest of them. Got that? Yes. And then what you're going to do, I like to use the round pliers. I think it's easier. And turn and a little more. Lift that up. And turn this last loop up towards the ceiling, like so. So that's what I have. Yes. So there's my little earring, and all I need is an ear wire. Yes, sirree. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my ear wire. Now, most of the time, the opening of the ear wire is on the side where the tip is. But I saw one the other day that had the opening on the other side, which I thought was very interesting. So all I need to do is twist this open just like you do a jump ring. Twist it to the side, slide on my earring. Keep that little ball down there away from the loop and close it back up. And there I have an earring with a little bit of a dangle in the center. And you can make those dangles longer if you want. If you want to put it on a jump ring maybe and just let it dangle even further. But I wanted something that was going to kind of fill in the center because these are at an angle, so they're going to be like that. So I wanted something in the middle that would kind of make it pretty. And there it is. Here's my little earring. All right. Let's go on to the next one. This next one is going to be a three tier. I just wanted something, and let me tell you what, this is so lightweight. It doesn't weigh anything. I mean, it's pretty big too. It's a pretty big earring, but it doesn't have any weight at all. It's just this lovely 1 millimeter leather cord, a chain, and a little teardrop crystal dangle. Doesn't weigh a thing. Forget you have it on. It's lovely. So let's go ahead and get this one done. So for that, in order to make it gradually larger, my little rings, I cut 4 inches, 5 inches, and 6 inches. Now, if you want an earring that's smaller than that, cut it smaller. But I gave myself an inch between each of my rings as far as the size in order to get them gradually larger. So I've got 4, 5, and 6 inches for my loops. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same process that I did with the other one, these coils. And I've shown you how to do that, so I'm not going to do that again in the interest of time. So what I want to do is start with the short one on the inside. The next shortest one is the next one. And the longest one is going to be on the outside. So just like that. Then I'm going to take my cord, and again, you want to measure to make sure that your cord will fit in your tube, your little wire coil. You don't want it to be too big, but you also don't want it to be too small. So it should be a nice little snug fit. Slide that in there till all three of my little tails are at the top. And what you can do is slide it past the top and then pull it back down so that you can actually see that it's in there, nice and snug. Check my rings, make sure that they're going the direction they should go. This one's kind of shifted. I need to make sure that it's short, medium, and long, side by side. Check it in my little tube here, my little coil. Make sure they're laying the right directions before I crimp. Okay, and let's do this. Double check, triple check, make sure they're going the right way. Short, medium, long. Up at the top, grab my pliers. Square pliers. And squeeze that bottom ring. Just crimp that nice and tight around your cord. Neaten it up a little bit if you need to. I always need to. There you go. Nice and snug. Check to make sure it's in there good. It is. Let's go to the other side and do that one. Now I want to make sure my ends are together. That's what creates my graduated loops. Like so. And slide my cord into my coil. It's a tight fit. And if you so desire, you can always, come on, You can always do them one at a time. It's up to you. Okay, two are in. Now none are in. Now two are in again. Okay. All right, we'll do it that way. Let's just do them one at a time. One, two, and the third one. Put in there. Thank you. Okay. Check it out. Make sure they're going in the way they want it, they need to go. Push it up all the way through if you want to, and then back it up if you need to, just to make sure that all the tips are out there. I see one and two. Where's the third one? One, two, and three. There it is. Just want to make sure. All right. They're all in there. Pull it back until they're clearing the top. Nice. And let's go ahead and crimp the bottom, the last ring. Nice and snug. Check, make sure it's nice and tight. There we go. And there it is. Ooh, neato. All right, so now let's finish it off. So I need to do the same thing I did with the other one. I'm going to, on the opposite side where the tip is, here's my tip. I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to poke my little fingernail in there and separate the top ring from the other rings. That's the top ring. I'm going to squeeze this end slightly in towards the center, just very slightly. And then I'm going to turn it up. Now you can, I usually use my round nose pliers just because it's easier, but you can use your square pliers too. Turn that straight up to the ceiling. There we go. Go to the other side and do the same thing. There's my little tip. Slide my fingernail in and push that tip slightly to center. There you go. Slide my fingernail in, separate that top ring from the rest of them. And then turn that ring to the ceiling. So there we have that. Yes. And now what do I need to do? I need to put it together with a jump ring. So I'm going to grab a jump ring. But before I do that, I also have a piece of chain because I'm going to dangle something from it. So I'm going to go ahead and dangle my chain from my jump ring and attach the jump ring to the ends of my earring. So let's do that first, and then we will add our bead. So I'm going to open up my jump ring. I'm going to find the opening, which is right here. I'm going to grab another pair of pliers. And I like to have one pointing in towards the circle and the other one going up and down. I just find that easier as far as twisting it. Then you're not accidentally sticking your pliers inside the jump ring, which you don't want to do. Okay, let's twist that open, check and make sure that my ends are just meeting. And I'm going to slide this on one. Oh, you want to make sure that these loops are facing each other. Right now, you can see that they're facing up. I need for them to be facing each other. So I'm going to take my square pliers and I'm going to turn it until it's facing inward, and do the same thing on the other side. Just like that. Just a little bit more. So if I put them together, boo, 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 boo. All right, so now I'm going to grab my jump ring, slide it on one of my rings, add my chain, slide that right inside the jump ring, get in there, and then add the other ring to the other side, the other loop. So that's what I have, everything attached. And then I'm going to close my jump ring, make sure those ends are meeting and not overlapping. There we go. Now, when I cut my chain, I wanted it to just clear. This one looks bigger. I don't know why this one looks bigger than the other one. Why is it so much bigger? Oh, maybe I did 3, 4, and 5 on this one. That's okay. Do it whatever length you want. Yeah, I must have 3, 4, 5. This one I did 4, 5, and 6. Well, now you can see the difference between the sizes. See that? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put on my bead. Now my chain is on. My top is together. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did with my little dangles. I'm going to cut a piece of wire. This is a little bit longer. It's about 8 millimeter, I believe. It's about a quarter of an inch, a little more than a quarter of an inch, almost 3/8 of an inch in length. I need an eighth of an inch for my little tip to use for my head pin. So that's half an inch. Then I need another half an inch on the other side. So again, I need about an inch of wire. I'm eyeballing it. This may be a little long. It's a little longer than an inch. I'm going to go ahead and make my little shoehorn, my little 3/4 inch, my little 3/4 circle. This is always a challenge because you're trying to grab the tip of round wire with your round pliers, and it's going not. We're not doing this today, so get over it. You have to show it who's boss. I just did. So I've got my little horseshoe, and then I'm going to squeeze those two sides together. And you're going to have to take your time on that because it's a little bit of not a tedious process, but you don't want to try to rush it. So now I've got that as tight as I can get it. And I'm going to bend that until this is straight down from the rest of the wire, like so. And I'm going to put it on my bead, or I'm going to put my bead on the wire. So I have a little head pin. I've got a little curve in this wire, so let's straighten that out. So there I have my little head pin. That's what you can do when you don't have a head pin on hand. You can make your own. So I'm going to bend my wire at a right angle just at the top of the bead. I'm going to cut this down to about half an inch. I think this is about an inch. I really overestimated the length. Okay, cut that down. Hold on to that tip so it doesn't fly across the room, grab my pliers. I don't need too big a loop. It's just going to be dangling from my chain. So I'm just going to go maybe an eighth of an inch down from the tip. And that's all I need to make a half, to use this half inch of wire to make a loop. Okay, let's close that up. Yes. And now let's attach it to my chain. People say, well, why do you close it if you just have to open it again? Because you don't want to, it's just the easiest way to attach it. You don't want to try to leave it open and then put it on and try to squeeze it that last uh, that last centimeter or two, because it's just too hard to do. It's easier to go ahead, close your lid, open it to the side just a smidge, and then put it on your chain. And I want to put it on that last link if it will let me. It's fighting. I don't want to go on there. I don't want to dangle from your earring. Well, you're gonna dangle from my earring. So there. Oh my goodness. Do I need to open it a little more? No. It just keeps rolling around away from me. There we go. And I just wanted a small loop because I wanted it to be about the same size as the links on my chain. So it's not as obvious that there's a difference between the size of my loops, the size of the loop on my chain as the, or on my bead as the size of the loop on my chain. So now I need to open this up, just like I did before. Loop is on the side here with the tail. Open it to the side. Slide it on my jump ring. This jump ring is holding a lot of things. And close it. And there's my earring. Get over there. There it is. Here's my earring. Isn't that neat? Yeah, it's definitely bigger than this one. So I'm gonna bring it down a bit. But there they are. They're my earrings. You can decide how big you want it to be. I'm going to give you enough so that you can do the bigger one if you want to. You can cut it down a little smaller. You can make it a little larger. Your choice. Go ahead and do this one. Oh, and I did another one without the dangles. I haven't put the dangles on this one yet. I could have just shown you this with the dangles and without the dangles, but you'll see what I mean about the fact that because of the way these are made, you've got this little opening in here, and I just wanted something to fill that in and make it pretty. So there we have that. And then I made these without the dangle. Isn't that awesome? Just plain. And I just put a little bead in the center there. But I just wanted to show you a few things that you can do. And this is all on leather cord, and the beads are big enough to slide on the cord. Just slide it over the cord, and there's your earring. Top it off with one of our coils and an ear wire, and there you've got it. Awesome. That's it. That's it, ladies and gents. That is our program for today. Those are our earrings. Yay. I didn't mean to rhyme. but there we are. But that is our program for today, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Thought you might like to see what these look like. There they are. I love that. There are my little dangle earrings. And there's another pair of dangle earrings with a chain. Oh, I love them. Love them. And I am telling you, these don't weigh a thing. I have got to make more of those with several more, maybe with more tiers. That might be fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this program. I've certainly had a whole lot of fun making them, and I don't think this took too long. And because we have like well the equivalent of three pairs of earrings, um, see how different this looks than this one? Same thing, completely different. Depends on what beads you put on. And it would be the same with this. You could add some beads the around the cord and still have the chain with the dangling bead in the center. You can make this any way you want. It is so versatile. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. And I hope that you'll make your own and let me see what you made because I would love to see your ideas. And I hope this is a little bit shorter than an hour, which is what I had kind of promised myself I was going to stick with this year and try not to go over an hour. So I hope that I achieved that. And I hope that I've given you some nice ideas of earrings that you can make for yourself or even for gifts. I really enjoy doing things like that, especially things that you can take and use for other people. That's so much fun. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope to see you again. If you want to get in touch with me, you can contact me at jewelrygin20 at gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20 at gmail.com. Or you can leave comments and pictures on the library Facebook page, which is facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's DEKALB LIBRARY. If you want to leave comments on the YouTube page, it's youtube.com/DeKalb County Public Library. DEKALB COUNTPublic I hope to hear from you. But until next time, I hope you have a great week and an even greater weekend. And I will see you later. Bye bye.